How do you feel about punk?
I don't like punk very much. Although, I'm kind of like a musical. What's the word when you're like hermit?
Mm-hmm.
No, not Kermit, hermit.
Punk music is for bunks!
Elko, what do you think of punk?
I can't stand it. Safety pins and what else can I? No, don't like it. That's
Punk is a genre of music that appeals to certain people, that prompts them to form bands and play the same kind of music that they like to listen to.
Isn't that like all music?
Yeah, punk is just one of them.
The history of punk is highly disputed. This is because everyone has different definitions of punk, and because the foundations of punk are found in many places. We will tell you one of the tales that is fairly universal. Originally, the term punk rock was used to describe the garage bands in the early to late 60s. They didn't know the rules, and therefore were able to break them. They were raw, crude, and often political. Their shows were violent affairs, and in retrospect, their genre is now described as proto-punk. Such bands included the Stooges, MC5, the Sonics, and the Velvet Underground. In the mid-70s, the first concrete punk scene became a reality. The two places it mainly came out of were New York and England. Bands like the Ramones, the Heartbreakers, Blondie, and the Talking Heads were united in their location and their musical preferences. Out of this came a group of bands and audience members that formed one of the first more large-scale punk scenes. In the United Kingdom, the economy was poor and unemployment was high. This led to a punk scene very rooted in politics and economics. England's youth were angry, rebellious, and out of work. They had strong opinions and a lot of free time. They took this time and created one of the first punk rock scenes in the world. This is also where punk style takes its roots, from a small shop in England during this wave of punk. A few of the bands that stood out at this time were the Sex Pistols and The Clash. By the late 70s, punk had finished its beginning and had emerged as a solid musical force. With its rise in popularity, punk began to split into numerous subgenres. New musicians embraced the do-it-yourself movement and began to create their own individual scenes with specific sounds. These include not only the music, but the philosophies and ideas that have come out of the music, such as straight edge, a lot of revolutionary politics, and just generally a friendly, accepting community. In Santa Barbara and Oxnard came Nardcore and a few very influential punk bands. Nardcore was a movement that began in the early 80s. It was an extension of hardcore punk and took place in Oxnard and soon spread to other areas in California. It was popularized by Mystic Records and published a lot of new punk bands in the 80s. I created Mystic as a haven for punk groups who were not accepted in the 70s and 80s. While Nardcore was very violent and angry punk, the community was actually very friendly. Even being a preteen, I could feel the sense of community that was starting to bloom in Oxnard. While it started as a small community, Nardcore has grown and evolved into today's punk scene, full of new bands and ideas. There are too many bands, too many shows. You can't go to them all anymore. I guess it's a good thing. I like that kids are starting bands, throwing shows, making t-shirts, pressing records, doing the same thing I was doing 20 years ago, and just like the guys did 10 years before me. And with the punk community came a few traditions, like dancing style. The most popular is called moshing.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. Please join me, I insist. Moshing may seem like a group of idiots punching each other, but it isn't. There is a set of rules to follow so that moshing may be an enjoyable experience for everyone. First, you must prepare yourself for the mosh pit. Yes, those gigantic spikes on your shoulder pads may make you look cool, but nobody likes getting stabbed in the eyeball. You should also remove your jacket before moshing, as it is quite strenuous exercise. Second, you need to actually know how to mosh. It's not just flavoring, but it is still quite simple. You must first pick a target. Make sure he's about the same size as you and also willing to mosh. Now, run at each other and jump and bump into each other like so. This is the most common form of moshing, but a wackin' form. There are as many different styles to moshing as there are people. And now you're moshing. Repeat until you sprain your ankle or dislocate your shoulder, at which point you should try and slip it before getting too hurt.
Every genre has drug users and alcoholics listening to the music. However, modern society tends to think that this is all that punk is, generally untrue. Being a straight edge punk basically means you don't drink alcohol or do drugs. In some cases, it can also mean having a vegan diet, not taking prescription medication, and more. The symbol for the straight edge movement is 3 X's. This movement started in the 70s, that grew and grew. The straight edges did not become straight edges for someone else, they did it for themselves. This movement started in the 70s, then grew and grew. The straight edge community has gotten smaller, quieter, and slightly died down, but is still steady and still lives on today.
It's just another genre. All the stereotypes are modern society's angry attack on punk. Punk isn't about sporting a mohawk or a leather jacket. It's about being yourself. Don't judge by appearances, you silly person. Get to know them. Algo que te gustaría añadir?
Sí, me gustaría filmar más.
¿Qué piensas de la música de punk?
No me gusta punk, pero tengo respeto por la música de punk.
Casmali, ¿por qué elegiste punk? Porque me gusta la música y creo que es interesante. Casmali, ¿qué fue difícil y por qué? Una parte difícil de la documental fue la edición. ¿Descubriste bandas y canciones nuevas durante su proyecto?
Sí, nosotros descubrimos muchas bandas y canciones. Nos gustaron algunos y no nos gustaron otros.
¿Cómo es el documental diferente de cómo tú imaginaste?
El original es muy largo, entonces tuvimos que cortar un poquito.